Alright, I love Lifeweaver, and I think the changes that have been made to him over his time in Overwatch have just not been helpful to him, and I think with the changes I have thought of, I think he could improve drastically. Before I get into his changes, I want to make a couple things clear. I'm not thinking about how much time, effort, and money would be put into this project. I'm also not considering how feasible this is. They are simply just concepts. For this video, I've been inspired by Lane Hemingway on YouTube. He has just shy of 300 subscribers, and I really like how he formats his videos on rework ideas. While mine technically would be a rework, I'm not calling it a rework because I'm really not changing that many things. I'm simply adding on to or just reallocating how an ability works. With all that out of the way, let's get into my Lifeweaver changes and how I think he can be improved while keeping his character identity. Firstly, I will be talking about Lifeweaver's new passive, Photosynthesized. Basically, what this passive does is while he is outside, or if it is allowed, more specifically in sunlight, his healing charge rate on his healing blossoms will charge faster, thus making him more effective on certain more open maps. I think this change would be helpful to Lifeweaver because as of now, while I don't think he's bad on any map, I think there are some maps where he could just automatically be better simply because they are more open. And this way, it'll make it to where Lifeweaver is a one-size-fit-all like Mercy, while also being slightly map-specific to excel in. Next, his Healing Blossoms I have kept unchanged since his passive only interacts with that. While I could have put it as an addition to his Healing Blossoms, I think it would just be easier overall to make it as a passive, less than an addition to an ability. Similarly, I've also left his Thorn Volley unchanged, because while his DPS is low, that's the point. He's not supposed to have a lot of DPS, but he needs a little bit of DPS, which I'll get into further in the next change. Alright, so I'm not huge into competitive, and even when I am, I'm not very high, I'm silver. But from what I have seen, when you are playing Lifeweaver, or you have a Lifeweaver on your team, unless you are always thinking about, hey, where's Lifeweaver's pedal, it is very underutilized, and even when you do step on the pedal, lots of times, you'll just step right off of it because, like, oh, I didn't even realize it was there, and when I was going up, I was already moving forward to, advance in the fight. So I think having an alternative, or potentially even replacing pedal platform with something else, would be beneficial. Here comes in Piercing Seedlings. Now, I got this idea from looking at concept art of Lifeweaver and seeing how he basically has like these 4 or 5 different pedal platform type seeds going out from his back. I think that would be a good way to have him have additional DPS, so he's a little better at surviving by himself, but not making him overly powerful. Now, I'm thinking about like another charge up thing, where sort of like a Zen Volley, but closer to like his damage. So pretty low damage overall, but it's a quick burst option just to get a flanker off of him and help him. I did have the thought of it being an auto-target ability, but then I thought, no, what would be better is if we make it a skill shot and let it crit. So in that way, Lifeweavers who are better at the game, better at using this ability, can land those headshots, get that higher burst damage, and potentially like kill a Tracer, or get a Genji low enough to where he'll back off. And to fit its name better, I think having it pierce only barriers like Sigma, Rhine Shield would be good. Now, I don't want it piercing like Pedal Platform or Maywall. I think that would be too many things. But having him just have a little bit of on-scene pressure through a barrier would let him be more useful to a team other than his healing and potential survivability and sustainability for his team. Basically just to give Lifeweaver added depth. I think Life Grip is perfectly fine the way it is. I have no objections to how it works, but some people do, like DPS players, like Genji for instance. If you pull a Genji when he was about to blade, but you didn't know he was going to blade and he was critical, obviously you're going to pull him because he's just going to run into the team fight. He just looks stupid. So I think to alleviate that, Genji's frustrations with Life Grip is to put it on a invisible timer. Basically, when you press Life Grip, instead of automatically pulling your teammate, you'll put a little target on them, and an icon in the corner of their screen will show up that basically tells them, hey, you will be automatically pulled in a few seconds, just so you know. But the DPS player, or any player you're gripping, for instance, they can press interact, and it will pull them early, so that way they have agency, but you still have that failsafe of, okay, if they don't press it because they're feeling extra safe now, it'll still go off. And this also lets Lifeweaver be even better in these more open maps, like, let's say, Circuit Royale. If you're pulling your Tracer in Circuit Royale, second point high ground, then it'll be a lot easier to do than in Junkertown, third point, because there's a lot of obstructions, and when her timer goes off, she may just get rammed into a wall until it just quits and deactivates the ability, leaving her in a not optimal position, but maybe a better position. Just like Lifeweaver's primary and secondary fire, Tree of Life is perfectly fine the way it is. Now, potential problems for these ideas are the added DPS to Lifeweaver could make some people a little apprehensive to a change like this, since he is supposed to be a Mercy type character, where he's mostly utility, can't really do much damage unless in ideal conditions. Secondly, another issue I think will arise is dictating whether Lifeweaver is outside or not. It might be an issue. Now, the first idea I thought was, well, you could have it to be where it's LOS of the highest point on the map, in the middle of the map, or middle of the playable map. So, for instance, let's say the one Capture the Flag map, Atiana, however you say it, Lifeweaver's map, from the middle statue above it, you can put a camera there and then be like, okay, so if I cannot see Lifeweaver from this point, he is probably inside a building area. Therefore, he will not get his faster charge rate. But if I have LOS on him, his charge rate is faster. That's the idea I had, at least. And lastly, a bug when using pedal, since you have to hold it for the seedling volley, I think that would become an issue of, oh, I held it not for pedal but for the volley, but it used pedal anyway, and now I don't have the cooldown. So it might be better to outright replace pedal, or to just not do the change at all. I still think the added DPS is fine. You can make it very low DPS, but still. But those are my changes for Lifeweaver, and I think this would be perfect for him. Obviously, there will need to be some balancing changes, changing numbers around, but this way he has more depth, and it still keeps his playstyle very simple, and you can still easily heal bot and be just as effective as you are now. I think the removal of pedal platform instead of having an alternative to pedal platform might be better, but that is just a personal preference, so I think it's better to have it as an alternative option. Anyway, this is Pop Rocks, and I'll see you in the next video.